Hi there, I'm Maggie Kerr from Universal Astrology, bringing you your August 2016 Heavens Above Astrology report, where we'll have a bit of a chat about the unfolding energies in these strange and rather difficult times. I'm a counselling astrologer. I use a lot of therapy, psychotherapy in my work, and I run quite a busy practice, but I also, in my spare time over the last 30 years, have been fascinated by the use of astrology to understand the cycles of our world and the great unfolding evolutionary process and how that affects the collective and each of us within it. If you'd like to find out more about my work, go to universalastrology.com.au because I'm down here in Australia. And let's move on now and have a little look at the month ahead. Now, before I take you into August, I'd like to just introduce you to something. Most people don't really get that astrology is basically just a developmental process. And it begins on the 21st of March every year when the Sun enters Aries. This is when the Sun is directly overhead the equator and the natural year begins. And this is when we are meant to initialise our year. Now, then around the 21st of April, the Sun will enter Taurus, and we add the earthy, practical, building, foundational ingredients we need to our year. And then in Gemini, we add the IT, technology, communication, networking principle that we need to add to the growth of our year. When the Sun's in Cancer, it's about foundations and structures and anchoring in the projects and dealing with home and family needs and our emotional foundations as well. So as we head into Leo time, it's actually stage 5 of the natural year. And so we now are meant to add the creative ingredients, the passion, the dynamic forward motion that we're going to need to develop our year from here. So the Leonine principle is about motivation, leadership, energy. Generally, it's meant to also be a time where we simply remember to have some fun, bring out the inner child, play with your children, have some parties, Fun's been a bit thin lately, I think we'd all agree, as 2016 has gone by. And, of course, it brings into focus the themes of leaders and leadership, and goodness knows we're seeing some pretty strange phenomena there. As we go through the month, just be aware that we've still got lots of planets in Virgo, Mercury, Venus and Jupiter. So the Mercury part is about our mind, our ideas, working with the practical, thinking processes and organisational processes, and generally that's what Virgo's about. We've had Jupiter in Virgo since last September. He's the big boy with the 12-year cycle, and he opens and expands whatever territory he can tax. So that's why we've all just spent the last year in huge clean-up mode. Cleaning out, getting rid of, organisational, planning stuff. It's been a bit dull, really, on one level. It's that, kind of, oh, yes, I guess I have to kind of approach. But Jupiter's, he's about opportunity. And so that is what we're meant to have been doing. And so this month of August gives us a final blast of this kind of function because, and I'm excited, Jupiter finally will move into the sign of Libra, the 7th phase of our year in September. And that's when we'll be able to finally let out and release the creative, projects that we've been working on for so long. So think about it. As we begin the process, we spend 6 months building and developing all of the functions we need to get ready to release everything out into the world after September time. And I'll be telling you a lot more about that in the September report. But the big news for August is that Mars is finally about to enter the sign of Sagittarius, the 9th stage of the cycle. Now Mars is our energy, our will, our motivation, our forward motion function. And he has been doing a big retrograde phase. All the planets do retrograde phases periodically. And Mars has spent the first 6 months of 2016 in the sign of Scorpio. And this has had a lot to do with why we've all been in such deep and dark and difficult times. Scorpio is the theme of the power that is meant to underpin our creative processes. And Scorpio takes us deep into our power and control issues. Mars, of course, has been expressing itself as the deep rage and frustration that we're seeing played out collectively on the planet. And, you know, this is meant to have offered us the opportunity to really transform our feelings of powerlessness and to confront our demons and dragons buried in the unconscious that limit us. Fear is the big one of our time. This is what has really been playing out in our collective now over the last few years, but particularly over the last couple of months. So as Mars finally goes into the sign of Sagittarius, we'll get some release and forward motion. Mars is a fire planet, Sag is a fire sign. So it's going to be great to finally get things moving forward as August moves in. This really, the month of August really kicks off from the 3rd, which is the new moon in August, and this is when Mars will have just entered Sagittarius. So, as Mars moves into Sagittarius, he comes to join Saturn, who has been in the sign of Sagittarius now since late 2014. And this is a pretty potent piece of territory that's been at play now in our world. Saturn is the restrictive forces, the limiting functions that regulate culture and society, and us personally, of course. And Sagittarius is the sign of belief. And I brought this through big time in my 2016 Astrology report, which you can find on my site, where I talk about this being the year where the theme of truth and lies will be front and centre as people begin to finally emerge into the reality of the fact that the system, by the way, Virgo rules systems, so that's a big theme of Jupiter in Virgo. We've seen the revelation of, between Saturn in Sag and Jupiter in Virgo, the revelation of the fact that our systems that run our planet are very broken, very dysfunctional on many, many levels. And Saturn in Sag is very responsible for the big uprising in the terrorism, the fundamentalism, the extremes, the blame game, Sag brings things to excess. And we have Sag ruling the media and the whole control system that's in place during this period is now becoming more and more evident. And as things get crazier and crazier, I'm sure hoping that more and more people start to wake up and go, wait a minute, this stuff is seriously flawed. And the big feature of our times over the last 4 or 5 years now has been an aspect between Uranus in Aries, he's in Aries for the first time in 84 years, making a square or challenging aspect to Pluto in Capricorn, and it's the first time Pluto in Capricorn's been there in 246 years. Now this is a game changer. These two big outer planets, they're the lords of evolution that bring us things like the French Revolution and the 1930s Great Depression and rise of fascism and all of those, tumultuous, epoch-changing times on planet Earth. So we're in the midst of this revolutionary, freedom-oriented phase in human affairs. And as this has been going on, the powers that be have been doing everything that they can to sort of limit the arising urge for revolution and people's rights and individual rights by limiting people's rights, by spinning all sorts of lies and misinformation to, keep people unconscious, basically. So, as Mars comes into Sag, he will come and join Saturn by the 24th of August. Now, this Mars and Saturn together do have a warrior-like type function, and I'm not setting up fear and stuff here. I'm simply saying, that's the whole point here. The evolution, the shift in consciousness that is occurring actually offers us all a liberation to move beyond the old fear-based 3D reality paradigm where we are cogs in a machine and told what to do and what the material reality is going to offer us, whether we like it or not. So the point of power in all of this, for all of us, is when we move into objective consciousness, when we simply can look at it all going on and say, yeah, it's shite, but I don't have to energetically get in it. So this is going to be really important as August goes by, because we're going to see everything hotting up with all of these huge opinions and people getting really angry and all sorts of stuff flying. So it's so important to just stay chilled, watch it, observe it, don't get in it, because when we react, when we get in it, we contribute to it. Remember, everything is magnetic, so our consciousness affects it and it affects us. Holding centre, keeping our space, staying tolerant, being completely open and objective is so important during this next month. And within all of this, of course, there's a lot of creative juice. There's some wonderful energy available to really kind of think consciously, progressively, and see, that you can reinvent yourself. And that's the big theme also of Uranus and the times we're in. We need to reinvent ourselves. We need to reinvent the world. We need to step beyond the old mechanisms of fear and limitation and think, think beyond the box, because the box is really changing. And so it's actually a very exciting time if you get it and don't buy into the stuff. And I know that's easy to say when, I'm not directly affected by a terrorist attack and I've not lost anyone. There's people grieving, there's people in enormous pain around the world right now. And there's people that are really angry, and that's the point. If you connect with your own frustration and anger, then go clear it. This is the emotional healing work that I really focus on. It's like getting to the point where you're free to really transcend all that old lower emotional material that controls and limits us. That's the real message of our time. So, within all of this is enormous healing. These planets in Virgo, they're actually opposite two other big boys, Neptune and Chiron, in the sign of Pisces. This has been a big feature of this last year, hence the healing crisis of our time. And within all that is a marvellous, spiritualising renewal that allows us to, deeply heal old issues, old levels of our being. The other feature from Neptune, I'm not going to talk too much about Neptune, we'll be here all day, but Neptune has also been forming a square or challenging aspect with Saturn, and this is a big cycle that began in 1989. So, here we see the theme of the sort of lies and misinformation. It's very important that you really don't just accept something that that the media tells us, or it's very important to stay, once again, very objective and really educate yourself. Learn what's going on. Don't just react and respond to what you're being fed. All right. Now, actually, on the 18th of August, there's a fabulous full moon. It's the sun in Leo and the moon will be in Aquarius. So this is a very liberating full moon, and it really gives the heads up on fresh territory around individual freedom, people's rights, unique ideas, bringing forward new levels of potential. I'm loving that particular full moon on the 18th. So, really go with these Leo 9 forces that are offering fresh creative juice to us during the month ahead. And then as we head into September and Jupiter goes into Libra, we'll be all set to launch fresh new PR and marketing and opening of the spreading of our projects, and create fabulous new relationships, and move ahead into September in quite a fresh set of energy. So I commend you all to have a great month and yeah, stay alert. That's the key right now. Stay alert and and grab the joy, you know. Thanks. Cheers.